Imagine paying thousands of dollars for a first-class seat, only to be told to move by a flight attendant. Now picture this. You're a black CEO, and you're not just asked to move. You're forced out of your VIP seat for a white passenger and coach. What happens next? This is a story of power, authority, and one CEO's explosive response that left everyone stunned. And when he did the unthinkable, the entire crew was fired instantly. You won't believe how it ends. If you're part of the Black Visionaries family, hit that like button right now and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories like this one. It was a typical Thursday morning when Malcolm Brooks, a black CEO in his early 40s, boarded his usual flight for an important business meeting. As he walked through the airport, heads turned. He was used to it. With his tailored suit, a briefcase in hand, and an air of confidence that could fill a room, Malcolm was a man of power. He didn't need to boast about his wealth or influence. It was already obvious in the way people reacted to his presence. Arriving at the gate, the flight attendant greeted him with a warm smile and directed him to the first-class boarding area. This was his usual flight, his usual routine. He slipped into the business-class seat, feeling the familiar comfort of the plush leather seat. The aisle was empty, the hum of the engine soothing his thoughts. He even took a moment to relax, checking over his meeting agenda on his phone, running through the names of potential clients he'd meet later. But something was different today. The flight attendants, who were usually quick to greet first-class passengers, seemed a bit more flustered. He thought nothing of it at first, but as he relaxed into his seat, he noticed one of them, an employee in her late 20s, dressed in the uniform of a top-tier airline, approaching him, her face pale. "Excuse me, sir, but we need to ask you to vacate this seat," she said, her voice a bit unsteady. Malcolm raised an eyebrow, pausing his phone. "I'm sorry, what did you say?" The woman's eyes were nervous as she glanced at the row behind him. "There's a request from a passenger and coach who would prefer a seat in first class, and we need to accommodate them." For a moment, Malcolm blinked. This had to be a mistake, right? He'd been a frequent flyer with this airline for years. His seat was always reserved, always first class. "I'm afraid I can't do that," he said slowly, his calm tone hiding his rising confusion. "I've already settled in here." The flight attendant's demeanor was increasingly uncomfortable. She continued to stand awkwardly, her eyes flickering to the rows behind her as if seeking reassurance. "I'm really sorry, sir, but this is the airline's policy. We have to make room for other passengers in special circumstances." Malcolm leaned back in his seat, his hands gripping the armrests. He had never experienced anything like this before, and it was quickly starting to anger him. His fingers drummed lightly against the seat as his business mind kicked into high gear. He couldn't just accept this without an explanation. "Policy," Malcolm repeated, his voice now more serious. "This is my seat. I've paid for this seat, and I've been flying with this airline for years. No one has ever asked me to move." The flight attendant's hands trembled as she tried to explain herself. "It's just for today, sir. We have to accommodate a higher priority passenger." But this was when Malcolm's calm started to slip away. His brow furrowed, and his words became more clipped. "Who is this higher priority passenger? And why am I being moved for them?" The flight attendant, visibly uncomfortable, hesitated. "I'm not sure, sir, but it's a guest from coach." At this point, Malcolm's patience was running out. "You've got to be kidding me. You're asking me, a CEO, to give up my seat for someone who isn't even in first class? This is absurd." The tension in the air was palpable. Some passengers in nearby seats shifted uncomfortably, unsure whether they should get involved. Malcolm's frustration had now reached its peak. The flight attendant had no real answer for him, only repeating that it was company policy. But he wasn't going to let it slide. A sharp silence fell between them as Malcolm sat up, his posture suddenly more rigid, more commanding. He stood up slowly, his suit jacket falling back slightly to reveal the muscle beneath. "I own this plane," he said, his voice firm, yet calm, carrying the authority that came from years of hard work. "I've flown with you for years, and I am not moving. This seat is mine." The flight attendant recoiled slightly, caught off guard. For a moment, her mouth opened as if to apologize again, but no words came. The truth was, she had been put in an impossible position. and Malcolm knew it. He wasn't just a high-paying customer. He was someone who had the influence to make things happen with one phone call. But the drama was only beginning. From the back of the plane, a voice rang out. It was the white passenger, the one who had initiated the request for the first-class seat. "Excuse me, can we hurry this up?" he said with an air of impatience. "I'm the one who asked for the upgrade. Move it." Malcolm turned his head slowly, locking eyes with the man. There was a clear undertone of entitlement in his tone, and it was obvious that this passenger expected everyone around him to bend to his will. This was no longer just about a seat. It was about power. And for Malcolm, this was where the line was drawn. Malcolm's eyes narrowed, his voice low but booming across the cabin. "Let me make this clear," he said. "This airline has insulted me. And not just me, everyone on this plane." He could see the other passengers around him now, their attention fully on the confrontation. Some were uncomfortable, others curious. This wasn't an ordinary flight, and they were witnessing something unusual. "I'm not going to sit here and be humiliated," Malcolm continued. "This is ridiculous." He stood tall and dialed a number from his phone, speaking directly to the airline's top executives. His words were swift and sharp as he demanded to speak with the CEO of the airline. "I want a full investigation into this matter. I'm not leaving this plane until you resolve this," he said. Minutes later, the atmosphere on the plane shifted. The flight attendant, who had been trained to handle conflicts, was now in over her head. Malcolm, as calm as ever, had taken control of the situation, using his power as a CEO to challenge the decision. As the conversation with the airline's executives progressed, it became clear that Malcolm was going to have his way. The company representatives quickly understood the gravity of the situation. They knew the PR nightmare this incident would become if it wasn't resolved properly. Malcolm's voice echoed through the cabin again, more authoritative than before. "If I'm not moved back to my seat, I want every flight attendant involved in this situation to be removed from their duties immediately." In that moment, the flight attendants, realizing they were in no position to argue further, walked away. They had no choice but to follow the orders that came from above. As the plane continued its flight, the situation calmed, though the passengers were still buzzing with the unexpected drama. By the time the plane landed, the incident had already gone viral. Malcolm's quick thinking and unyielding leadership had turned a humiliating situation into a powerful statement. The airline executives knew they were facing public backlash, and changes were coming to avoid something like this from ever happening again. Malcolm's stand wasn't just about a first-class seat. It was about respecting the boundaries and power of people who've earned their place at the top. A CEO, an accomplished leader, and a man who refused to be disrespected. Malcolm's actions spoke volumes. In the end, the airline came to terms with his demands, and the flight attendants? They'd learned an important lesson in who truly held the power. If you're part of the Black Visionaries family, hit that like button right now and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories that leave you on the edge of your seat. Don't miss out on the stories that challenge the status quo and keep you thinking long after the video ends. We've got more powerful tales coming your way. So stay tuned and make sure you're part of the journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.